Welcome back, fellow armchair generals, to the fall of the Soviet Union. The end of the last episode was the fall of Moscow and diplomacy, surrender progress 100%, so I can only imagine in moments. Haven't let the clock or anything happen since I ended last episode, so let's take a look and see what happens there. Okay, we won here, good. We've won here, good. And unfortunately we haven't taken that out yet. And they're counterattacking up here. Okay, well, you might be able to take us, but I don't think so. And we won here. You attack there. You stop going there. You push into here, sure. There, you keep moving there. Don't know if it's going to do any good. Yep. There we go. Unfortunately, yes, ladies and gentlemen. I hope there's a lady or two watching. We're going to have border corps. Not my goal, but we'll call it because lack of fuel that's caused it. I would have done better with if I had the fuel. Okay, we won that battle. Control over Western Russia. Effects has happened to us. Plus 10% on resources, which should help up here. We enforce Dragnot Osten on the Soviet Union. Bitter peace. The sun was up as he left the coach for the train station as he hears bird singing start all over again. Suddenly he had a security rise. No one knew the man's real name, but he was called Vlasic. Vlasic took a letter from his coat pocket comrade, General Secretary, the latest dispatch from the foreign minister. Stalin opened the letter, read it. All right, we'll just have to start all over again. So they are getting ready to come back at us eventually. Salt concentration has advanced, yay. But yay about we've taken out them, and it looks like political yeah, we'll let that go, proving that, but assault concentration, we've stopped that. That's way too far ahead. Let's come back over here and well, let's do short range first. Keep our fighters producing. Oh, and we have a little bit more, so we'll also do long range aircraft production improvements. Okay, so now we have the Soviet Union. This should get more because we no longer have, well, it will be more because we no longer have that minus 70% because of military occupation, but since it's non-core, since we only have a minus 15, that's good, that's fine, I totally agree. Areas that were part of the former German Empire, like here, this part of Poland, that really quickly can come back and be core territory. The Poles living there had recently, many of them had previously lived as part of the German Empire. I'm not saying that the new German Empire is nearly as kindly to them. Actually, it's not, very unkindly to them. But they wanted to erase Poland from the map. They completely, to the point that they couldn't even call it Poland anymore, the Germans. They called it the general government. This yellow spot here is the general government. And even though we technically own this here, it is the general government. So as opposed to Poland or as opposed to occupied areas of anything else, it is just the general government. And they wanted to erase Poland from the map entirely. But still, it's easier to integrate that. And obviously, culturally German areas as well as like Czechoslovakia, there is good reason for non-core, but then again, they really did push in their solid administration, and it had recently been part of the Austrian part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, so it's not nearly as bad as some of these other things. Oh, there looks like they're having a real partisan problem here. Don't know specifically why, other than some events. So I like... No, you can't go there anymore. And I don't like that. But... So I totally agree with the lack of cores. The other thing is, what I don't like about this is, even when I pile on, if I were to pile on, I don't know what really, other than just keep from partisan units popping up via events and things, I can't work down the revolt risk by occupation. I sort of don't like that. Trade offer from Vichy. Yes, you may have that. No, we won't be overly drastic. Yeah, they got dumped with a lot of the remainder stuff, so then used. Oh, we've got to kick out one unit because there's just too much stuff there. Okay. That's what we've got to do, I guess. Give them that. Now, maybe I should save this for off camera. Let's do a little bit, because we have a lot more stuff to do. Well, just this. Get out the Schwer Gustav. Ridiculous big gun. It's cool in that it's an uber thing, but it's a ridiculous big gun. There we go. Oh, let's send some SDs back across that way. And there we go. Don't know. Well, yeah, we'll play with this off camera. So now we have hopefully more fuel. 57 instead of 60 some, yes. And 70, that's definitely more than it was before. 66, that's a little more than it was before. 54, yeah, a little bit. So our oil should flow better, our supplies should flow better. Well, I'll try to deal with most of that. Okay, you guys come down into here where we can attack without coming across the river. Yeah. Hopefully get better supplies. Well, mentioning that, and since I got a lot of work to do. Shifting all this stuff away. I don't need all these troops out here eating supplies way far away from home and fuel. But what we can do here is come down here and have supplies flow from my territories into Italian ones. No air base there. Why the hell, British, didn't you not build an air base there? Silly Brits. I've poked them and they have done some more air bases, but and some of those stuff haven't happened. I don't know if yet, but like there's no air bases in Rhodesia. Rhodesia actually had sort of its own air force. Obviously, they didn't build any aircraft or anything like this, but at this time, they did have Rhodesian squadrons that were trained up in flying, and they were doing some of their initial training in Rhodesia before going on to other places. So they actually had, in Salisbury, the capital, some level of an air base. They also had more of those around in other places. Now, they might not be level 5, level 6, heavily, developed massive centers for air operations, but they had air bases. Base. Okay, you come down to here. Yeah, you come down to here. You can fly supplies over from there. And you guys, yeah, no, you're doing a good job, but we're going to get rid of most of these guys, and we're going to leave. Like I say, I've got a lot of work to do, and unfortunately, we have some of this border gore here. I'm sorry, nothing I can really do about it now. But I really did want to have a bunch. Missed this one, unfortunately, because we had it and we lost it. I moved. It was my fault. But we've got this, which is good. Just not a whole lot of stuff up there, but out here, this is much better. One, we've taken it away from the Soviets so that their rearmament won't be so fast, but we've got a lot more rare materials that we wouldn't have had otherwise. It is, it isn't all perfect. This, I was trying to clean up here and trying to have a nice little border down here. So yeah, but what I'm going to do is put along the border is put Romanian and Hungarian type units, just covering the border way out the edges, and move basically all the Germans non-security type units west somewhere, whether to Berlin and that areas. And that's part of the reasons I have not deployed a lot of these, the 497th Panzer Grenadier Division, the 6th Panzer Division, the 78th Storm Division, the 34th Panzer Division, because I haven't known whether we're going to really need them here because of invasions. Or whether we're going to need them. Oh, let's attach you to there. To a real let's keep you from collapsing. So, and this one obviously has happened again. This one's happened too often. I think this is the 4th time. Whether we would need them in the west, as well as for the invasion of Britain, or sending them south, I just haven't, into whether to defend North Africa or to. We don't want to put too much, as we're seeing supply problems already anymore into Africa, or East Africa here. And if we put too much here, we will have, which we can also increase the supply throughput. And we also want to do an airport, and we want to do a radar. Yes, so we want to do all of those as well. Move those to the top. But we don't want to overstress this supply situation here either. So, but we do have a lot of, right now, units coming through Iran, sort of slowly it looks like. They're strategically redeployed. They're moving at 2 kilometers an hour. So, weather, I don't know. I don't get that. I don't get that at all, but whatever. Okay, we've lost the effects of our supply movements through there because we no longer are fighting on the east, but it will help our supply production. We've lost the effects of the German, Spanish, and Italian trade agreements. Okay. I'm not quite sure why. Don't know if that's the end of the Soviet Union or because we didn't do some of the use economic powers. Not sure. Okay. Mobile unit command and control. I'm guessing timing wise it's Soviet Union ending, but don't know. Oh, we've lost a lot of leadership too. by something going off. Okay, well, how interesting. Nope, human. Normal, yep, that's what we want. Oh, did I do that accidentally before? No, here, no, we're still producing a lot for officers, yeah, that's good. And our oil stockpile is almost gone. And yes, we've won up here, so good. And this will be faster, okay. Now, right now we have plenty of fuel. Right now. Don't know if we will in 10 minutes, but right now we do. Okay, well. Do we have other provinces with oil somewhere? I could stick on. Oh, you can't go there anymore. I could stick on more oil wells. We've got plenty of rare materials. That is up to a province that we want to occupy. I am looking sort of long term for maintaining my troops out here in the east. We have that sort of railway system. Unfortunately, it's cut off there, so badly cut off, as you can sort of see, I think. No, wait a minute. It's where... What's the flag situation? Okay, it's cut off here. Wow, I was confused by that for a moment. I don't know if I should even try building infrastructure down there, because I'm not planning on putting too much in the way of resources. But through here, I don't know. Yeah, we're building more oil wells there. Let's come back over to this map mode. Maybe I should have just invaded Iraq. Fortunately, they've got that, which I would like to get, because I can't even build oil wells there to increase their production, then trade with them for it. These will be very necessary coming up. And we're about out. Sure plunk. Sure plunk doctrine. Very good. We'll end that. And Battle of Doma. We've won. And here, okay, we're pushing in against them. Use support with your heavy artillery. You can use support. We're just going to really kick your butts, but we're not putting most of these units in deeply. Still very unsure about the Indian Legion here, what I should do with it. Where is it? Here. Because those colonial light infantry units are pretty good in India. There's a lot of engineers or rivers in India, so those engineers are useful there. Yeah, keep trying to occupy in Algiers. Yeah. Now we're at neutral because it's only going to use as much as it has. It won't overproduce fuel anymore from what it can supply. But this now becomes what's critical. And I don't really quite honestly know my actual fuel usage, because right now we're almost to maximum possible fuel in storage. You know, so almost to a point that it's being wasted now in things being produced. What are we attacking against? Okay, maybe you can do that. No, Rene à toi. He got picked as that general. Haha. And Air Force HQ's great. And we're gonna stop that. And Tactical Air Command has advanced, which we're gonna stop. And you know, right now would be a good time to do some of these things. Study 4, study 4, study 4, study 4. Those are, we'll hit all of those because these will, well, produce some manpower and lose some supplies for the Flieger Corps. But these guys here should also do the same to some degree, and we can afford that now. We should also be facing somewhere, I thought. Here? Oh, I thought we had one of the divisions that needed upgraded out here. Got a lot of good divisions out here that... These guys, why aren't these guys 8th Division on the possible... Oh, maybe it's because of the... maybe we should have done that before. I can fire the events manually, but don't know. Oh, here we are. Reward Finland and Romania some land. Yes, we want to do that. Okay, so this gives Romania that bit of land, and well, they actually lost a little bit of land, but there we go. So now we have Greater Romania. And we won out here. Okay, we don't need to go in it. Occupy there. You guys can sort of stay there just in case there's another scripted invasion right away. Civil defense advanced. Repair rates will happen faster. Great. And naval HQs. Yes, a lot of organization bonuses for our Navy. Ah, finally we stole some more blueprints. So, Mein Fuhrer, we have stolen blueprints that list improve our capabilities in capital ship secondary armament to level 4. Let's just come in and see. Secondary armament, don't know what it was. Probably, I don't know. I mean, that's at armament 5, but or whatever. So, yeah, good. And these guys have revolted. And we're out of money. See, I don't know why we're out of money. It says that we should have plus 20, plus 33, and I don't understand that. Not that I'm saying I shouldn't, I'm just saying I should understand why it's happening, and I don't. Okay, since we're here, I think you stopped because you didn't have supplies. So you supply into there. You supply into here. Because again, they stopped because they didn't have supplies. So supply them. I didn't send any up here, did I? Or there's no airbase up here. These guys are very slowly moving supplies, very inefficiently. Let's grab another. One of these guys, come down here. And they can grab supplies out of Khartoum and fly them somewhere. And fire control solution systems for our small vessels, and we're gonna end that. Okay guys, well, here's sort of the fast moving type. We'll wait till a little bit more of our other units get down. Well, then you can support the attack. And since we just got in there, they're counter-attacking us. Yay. Hedgehogs have advanced. Oh, hedgehog defense. Ah, yes, good. Very good. And rebuild the 10th Undersea Flotilla. Yes, please. Okay, the 13th Waffen-SS Gebdiv der S. Yeah, the 13th Waffen. No, yes, I read that wrong. The 13th Waffen-Gebdev Gebirgs Division der SS Hanschar, meaning it's not an SS division 100%, but it's a division of the SS. Yes, raise the unit in Barco. Sure, we want Hanschar. They do have that cool scimitar symbol. New battle commander. Yes, forward to victory. Schwer Panzer Abteilung 504. Yes, form it. Okay, and Walter Modal, we're getting it. These guys can also pop to the top. And so let's give these guys here a Panzer Commander. Skill level. Yeah, 4 is fine. He's defensive. That's alright, because it's sort of their job. And there, okay, we already have our commander. I think we have better things to do than fight partisans with you. Okay, let's see. These guys, do we have something we want to attach to these guys? I want to keep them relatively fast moving, so they're 9.5, so I don't know that I want to attach anything to them. I don't know if I do, I'm just looking here. We have motorized infantry battalions, tank destroyers, motorcycles, we got divisional HQs, the artillery regiments. Those are meant to go into some of our defensive garrisons. May build more of those. Yeah, no, these are meant to be relatively low fuel usage. Not so much for the not using this fuel as much as being in strange and weird landscapes that have, like, we're having a little bit of the problem down in here because of lack of port facilities to move in more supplies, so, and as well as fuel. That's sort of what they're intended for. We're going to come over here with you guys. We are sort of waiting for these. I don't know if they'd move faster on their own or faster, but I'm worried more about fuel than anything else of trying to move them non-strategically down here. And so we're going to pick them up, and once we have a port, move them in that way, but we're getting ready to invade. There, and yeah, support that attack. Make sure we're attacking from not everything across the river. But so, like this is one of them. I mean, so they're fairly weak. So going after some of these heavier British units alone, particularly, they're bad. But also, if we can get to terrains that are somewhat rough but not too bad, gobble up territory. The worst of the snow is over. Well, we're no longer fighting in the snow. Well, now looky here, looky here, looky here. I don't know how much of this is. Let's watch it for a day. Because it could just be we got a bunch of, because we weren't using oil, we cut back on our conversion of oil, and so it flooded us, and then we're using it. I don't know. Now, there are more American blueprints stolen. We have stolen plans that improve our abilities for close air support prototype to level 8. Level 8. What are we currently at? Close air support prototype. Here. Okay, so we have been falling a little bit behind compared to some of the others, I guess. So that is good. lets us know where the Americans are. They're at level 8. Well, Leningrad factories, Bolsheviks destroyed tank factories. Okay, was that already sort of happened? No, lots of stuff. Okay, so that's 5. I guess that already, we're just seeing that. British raids in Italy, yeah. These would all be good. 1, if we're still at war with Russia, and 2, if we are, if they had the ability to get to Italy, which they don't because they can't get in the Mediterranean. Munchausen, spelled with 2 H's and an umlaut. Munchausen is a 1943 fantasy comedy film directed by Josef von Backe. Reich Minister of Propaganda Joseph Goebbels ordered the production of Munchausen in order to celebrate the 25th anniversary of UFA Film Studios, which released it. Okay. Starring Hans Albers. This is my introduction to Hans Albers. I am and have been a big fan of the original, what is it? The Adventures of Baron von Munchausen. It was like, wow. I mean, it's sort of a surreal movie. And then over time, this is many years ago when it first came out, learned that it was Terry Gilliam who made the movie. And I'm trying to think of the other one that I really love of his. He also did Brazil. Brazil's okay. But he did another, Time Bandits. If you've ever, and I saw that again as a kid, and especially with the Osprey sort of books that it wasn't Osprey, it was another book on the Roman Empire, which I had that book, and sort of a kid, and I was, give or take a little bit, I don't remember exactly, it's sort of kid's age in the movie when I first saw it. Time Bandits, a wonderful sort of surreal movie. Love Terry Gilliam's work. If you don't know the name, and I know a bunch of you are younger, a bunch of you are a bit older, he was the one American of Monty Python. Yeah, you may have not known that there was an American, one of the Monty Python comedy troupe. There was an American in it. He was the one, and you never saw him. He was never seen, to the best of my knowledge, in any of the Monty Python movies, shows, TV. I know it was originally a TV thing, but you never saw him. But he was there in basically every episode, or every significant one. He was the one that did all of the animations in Monty Python. You know, the big foot coming down and smashing somebody in an animated, often clip art type of animations. He's the one that did all of that for Monty Python, and so he was an integral part of the comedy of Monty Python. And I've seen him in interviews and such, and he, of course, especially with the rest of the panel, really sort of sticks out because he's speaking in an American accent. And he was there, I guess, from the beginning of Monty Python. So he made that, and I really loved that. And then I found out, because of that, I sort of did a little bit of study on Munchausen, the legend, and whatnot. And then about the time I was first making TRE, because you can sort of tell this is a very early version of my style. Just basically, need the poster. Oh, well, we need a bigger title. Grab that. And somewhere I grabbed the UFA symbol. I don't know if it's from there, and I stuck that to sort of stick it together. I would make that much better today, and I'm going to have to remake it when I do it for Hearts of Iron 4. I don't think I've done that yet, but it'll probably be reminiscent of this, but I could do it much better. Maybe throw in a picture of Hans Albers, and I forget the woman's name. Maybe we may see it here or something in there, and we'll see. But so I found this version of it, which is much less surrealistic. It was a classic element or movie of Nazi propaganda. It should be seen as such. And it wasn't made at all by Joseph Goebbels, but it is an epitome or a case study of what Goebbels wanted to do with propaganda. How do I explain this? There's, and I remember they all, Goebbels propaganda, and you see these pictures of ugly looking Jews, And look, some people are just ugly, but also I'm sort of saying ugly looking Jews in that they look dirty, they have scraggly hair, not just that it's sort of long hair or the sort of the, I don't know, Hasidic or something Jewish style of not trimming the beard or having a beard but trimming it or something, but just really sort of the ugly looking example. Trust me, I could find ugly looking pictures of Germans. You're just not going to find them in Nazi propaganda. Ugly looking Jews and rat images and all this stuff. That stuff Goebbels hated. Just so you understand, Goebbels hated that stuff. Often he fought to not have it made, but even though he was Minister of Propaganda, we've talked about this before, competing influences. Hitler liked that within Nazi Germany. What he liked was this subtle stuff. Baron von Munchausen in this version is immortal because he drinks some magic potion at the start of the movie. But by the end of the movie, he's sort of accepting modern Germany, and he's decided to sort of become mortal. And so he's kind of live out the rest of his life as a normal German and eventually pass away. It's not overly heavy-handed, but sort of stereotypical, particularly Turkic Muslim, anti-foreign. And it's all this sort of very subtle, very much a minor element of the story and the message. It is mostly a comedy film. It is mostly a fantasy film. It is mostly sort of elaborating on the various legends of Baron von Munchausen. But there's this little subtle element. Some of it, like I say, a little bit of comedy racism. It's not really bad, but especially if you look at everything else going on in the world at the time, including the American film and British film industries, which I know better because I obviously speak and understand English. I will do, because, and this is on, and I know at times don't know if the version is still linked up there on YouTube. Yes, and I'm suggesting you go watch it on YouTube instead of watching me. With English subtitles. So I will do subtitles, but how much will I consume in subtitles versus in English? I mean, much more in English. But so it's a really good movie. It transcends, and it's good enough that it transcends, and it should be shown post-Nazi. It's very subtle, very limited, and I don't think there's a swastika in the whole movie, and it just very sort of subtle elements of this. So we gain some unity, lose some supplies for the production of the film. Baron Munchausen was an 18th century fabulist who reputed not to age. And there was, I believe, somebody who was a 18th century fabulist who claimed to be a baron and whatnot. It's been a long time since I looked all that up, but that he told all these wild tales. So, and generally with my stuff, you have, okay, I've seen enough, go on. Or if you want to see the full thing, here you can. Normally there's a small bonus of some sort of effect if you go all the way through my multiple ones. Adventures. He traveled widely and had many adventures, including time in the Sultan of Turkey's court and harem, which, especially to American audience, seeing all the would have been at the time. Obviously, they didn't see this in 43. A lot of topless women would in the 40s in America with the Hays Code. Even before the Hays Code was created, and then once the Hays Code, I don't know how much of you are interested in Hollywood film and lore. I sort of am, along with everything else, as well as Harley Davidsons or whatever that is driving by my apartment. So before the Hays Code comes in, there is no blatant nudity, topless, whatever, in American cinema. There is basically none. There are a few scenes in a few movies, including Claudette Colbert and Cleopatra and whatever, which it is just almost there. It is sort of like in bubble baths, and you can sort of kind of see it through the water, but that's not there. Then come out with the Hays Code. And then for about the first 2 or 3 years, they call it pre-code era, in which basically they didn't follow the Hays Code. And give you a little more background to The Hays Code had things in it like you can't have a man and a woman in the same bed, or sitting on the same bed, unless both of their feet touch, at least, or both of them have at least 1 foot touching the floor. So they could both like be sitting on the bed next to each other with both their feet on the floor, or they could be both sitting on the bed somehow with a foot somehow touched to the floor. I forget how many seconds a kiss could last. All this kind of stuff was in the Hays Code. Before the Hays Code, there were a bunch of regional codes, and so they would cut movies, especially really cut them down for, say, Boston, because that was very much Protestant, Puritan land in America, and so those would be some of the most restrictive cuts of the movies. The Midwest, not so much, but then you get into places like New York City and whatever, and those would be the most, in the American terms, most explicit cuts of films. And these were, I'm talking major Hollywood releases, not porn films or whatever, that were basically illegal back then. Whether people were being charged for them or not, they weren't shown in theaters. So talking about stuff shown in theaters. So this is just sort of not going on in American cinema. You do have a few foreign films. Hedy Lamar's film where she's running around topless does get into America. I'm forgetting the film. Not Hedley Lamar in Blazing Saddles fame, who he's sort of named after, Hedy Lamar. We're going to explore her. Ecstasy, that's the movie. It's from Ecstasy. She's skinny dipping, and she throws her shift or whatever over the back of a horse that she rides in on. The horse runs away, so she's running across the countryside naked to try to get the horse. That does get shown in America, but very, very limited. And I don't know if because of that, but Hedy Lamarr becomes a big movie star in America. And once war breaks out, she helps develop some scientific research. She does. To defeat the Nazis. Now, most of the stuff that she actually, and so she's actually doing, literally, she herself, while in between making films during the war, she is doing scientific research, because she's going to give us, when I get to the American events, I got so much stuff I want to do. She's going to give some research bonuses to some high-tech radio finding type technologies. I forget exactly. Most of the stuff that she was directly researching on and building doesn't quite, and it has very direct military application, doesn't quite get implemented when the war is happening, but in the very early 40s, it is. So it's just like, she's working away on it in 42, 43, and doesn't, whatever technical stuff, doesn't quite get until just sort of the post-war era. But Hedy Lamarr, famous movie actress, black raven hair, is also an American war scientist fighting the Nazis. So, interesting story there. So, yes, I know too much about all this stuff. This is also a very, the moon, one of Baron Munchausen's most outlandish adventures is his trip to the moon, which is shown in the movie with many special effects. And this, I don't know how much they were doing double exposures. Double exposure is to have the film, expose it, meaning have, say, Hans Albert doing his thing, and then taking that same film and sort of maybe blacking out part of the lens or whatever. I'm not exactly sure the details of the stuff I knew at one time. Taking it somewhere else, and often having the sort of same background, the same whatever there, and then exposing it again so it overlays another image over part of it, so it has some of the background and what doesn't. But you can really see in this movie where he's talking to this head who is not quite looking at him, sort of looking off to the side this way, but you can clearly sort of see in sort of some matte finish that she has no body. This sort of the Queen of the Moon is like a flower that he's talking to. That's their sort of balloon thing that it takes to get up to the moon. This is all pre-Photoshop, pre-digital, and I don't know whether it's somehow done with mirrors, done with perspectives, meaning she may be a lot closer to I don't know quite how it's done. but they really work some really good movie magic. So we gain less than 1% of national unity. That's why it shows 0. It won't show 0 point whatever, but that you get for going through. Okay. Another division in somewhere, Normandy. Yes, we'll take that. Yes, we'll switch the flying schools. I don't know if there's, other than the supplies and the manpower, don't think there's that. The fall of Leningrad, I thought we are, oh, well, they're losing whatever, yeah. And the fall of Moscow, that would have really hurt them before when they were still fighting, if that had happened before the other one had fallen. But since both had fallen, it's basically ends them. Okay, and we've won there. We've won there. And we've won there. We're going to clean up down there. Oh, well, you could be attacking there. Now we're going to take this opportunity to end the episode here. I want to thank you so much for watching. I want to thank you for liking the videos. I really do appreciate it. Please post questions, comments, suggestions, ideas, corrections. Love hearing from you. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.